I live in the Portland, Oregon metro area. I am in downtown Portland at least once a week. And if you don't know, Portland sucks. It didn't used to be. It used to be a great place to live. Kind of breaks my heart a little bit. In my opinion, Portland shouldn't suck right now. It was one of the most moved to cities in the United States from the late 80s until around 2016, maybe 2017. It dropped off that list hard. Riots, homelessness, out of control housing costs. If it is negative, Portland went all in on it. I love Portland, Oregon, and I always will. I just like to see it get back to being weird and not batshit crazy like we have today. A couple weeks ago, I was on Instagram and I came across an interesting post from a page called PDX Real. I'll leave a link for that down below. You should check them out. They posted a comparison between Milwaukee, Wisconsin and Portland, Oregon. The reason for this is they're about the same size and they're both going through a rough patch. I took the information from her post and dug a little deeper. What I found was insane. I tried to call the mayor's office, they wouldn't talk to me. Tried to get a hold of someone at the city hall, they really wouldn't talk to me. One time I called and asked if I could just ask the mayor one question. They said, well, click. They hung up on me like that. After doing all the research, I come up with one question. Where's all the money, Portland? That's what we're going to find out right now. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. The population. The first thing we want to look at is the population of both Milwaukee and Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon's population is 652,000. Milwaukee's is 587,000. That's not that much of a difference. That's just the city itself. The metro areas are 2.5 million for Portland and 1.5 for Milwaukee. That's about a million off, but it's not like one has 10 million and the other one has 2 million. Both of these cities would be considered medium cities. They're not the mega places like Los Angeles, Chicago, New York. They're medium cities. Theoretically, if we have the same population or near same population, the taxes should be about the same and the distribution should be at least relatively close. It's nothing like that. The annual budget for Portland, Oregon is $7.1 billion. The annual budget for Milwaukee is $1.9 billion. I'm sure that's going to change. It changes all the time. But it's not like Milwaukee's going to gain $5 million to their budget in the next year or something like that. It's not going to happen. That is a big difference for two cities that are relatively the same size. $5 billion. If you look at the counties, Multnomah County, where you'll find Portland, Oregon, has a budget of about $3.5 billion. Milwaukee County's budget is $1.4 billion. So Portland, Oregon is collecting $5 billion more than Milwaukee. Then Portland has this other extra BS that you won't find anyplace else in the country. At least I haven't found it. It's called Metro Portland. And they've got their own budget. It's like this extra layer of political nonsense. I'm sure it has a purpose, but I'm pretty sure we could do without it. But they have their own budget, and it's $1.8 billion. In total, Portland's budget for the city, the county, and the Metro BS is about $12 billion. Milwaukee's all-in total, $3.3 billion. So this is what goes on with a municipal budget. Without getting into all the details, this is how it is. Milwaukee and Portland spend their money differently, based on what's important to them. Their main challenges and how big their economies are plays a big part, obviously. Milwaukee, with its industrial roots, tends to pour money into economic growth, infrastructure, and keeping the city safe. Portland, on the other hand, has a mix of tech and manufacturing and really cares about being green. Yes, we pour tons of money into being as green as we can, which I believe is important, but not like $5 billion more than someone else is spending. Portland channels funds into environmental projects, better public transportation, and developments that support eco-friendly living and city expansions. Those are all well and good, but come on. The condition this city is in, and we're still spending money on stupid garbage we don't need to, is ridiculous. It's almost like Portland will cut funding to schools before they'll kill some green project. And I don't want to come off sounding like I don't care about, saving the planet and all that. I'm a firm believer in we need to be a little greener, but at some point it seems like someone has to come up with a little common sense and go, you know what? Everything's fallen to crap. Maybe we could take $5 million from the Save the Banana Slug Fund and try and figure out a way to get all the people from camping out on the sidewalk. Last summer I was in downtown Portland and I saw some police activity, and I wandered over and started checking it out, and they were breaking up one of our sidewalk homeless villages, and I asked a cop who was standing there what they were doing, and that's what he said: they're breaking up a camp. I asked him why now, what's changed, and he said, he kind of mentioned that they had some rules back during the pandemic, which was, 2 years ago, or ended about 2 years ago. And he said they've gotten rid of some of those rules and now they're kind of breaking up some of the camps. As he was walking away, he said, they're finally letting us do our job. And that's been a big complaint for a lot of residents of Portland, that the police aren't doing anything. It's not the police's fault. They've been told not to when it comes to the homeless. Now, they do have some things that they do. If someone's doing something terribly illegal, they'll get into it. But they're not breaking up these camps, which they should have a long time ago. So that brings us to an interesting part of the budget. What is the average salary for police officers in each city? In Portland, the average police officer salary is between $67,983 per year and $76,710 per year. And that is according to Glassdoor.com. In Milwaukee, the lower end of the pay is pretty close to the same. It's $64,000, but they go all the way up to $95,000 per year. So it's not like the police department is terribly overpaid in Portland, Oregon. I will add one thing, that both police departments, when someone is a recruit, they're normally making about $45,000 a year. Once they're out of their recruit status, they get instantly up to about the $60,000 mark or above. Both police departments service close to the same amount of people, but there's a vast difference in the amount of police officers each city has. The Portland Police Bureau, yes, we call it the Police Bureau, not Police Department for some reason. I asked a cop about that years ago, and he's like, I don't know why. Almost sounds like they're part of the FBI when you throw bureau in there, Anyway, the Portland Police Bureau has 790 sworn officers. The Milwaukee Police Department has 1,800. Over 1,000 more police officers. The way each city approaches policing, it's different. Police forces in Milwaukee and in Portland each have their own style when it comes to handling law enforcement and basically hanging out with the community. Over in Milwaukee, their violent crime rate is a bit higher. The cops put a lot of effort into community policing, trying to prevent violence and getting involved with the locals to build trust. That's their theory, not saying that's the way it goes down all the time. Sure, we're going to have a lot of people in the comment section going on about how, they got pulled over and drug out of their car for some reason. Or how the school police resource officer has been taking the lunch money of the elementary school kids. Something like that. The fact is, there are, I'm sure, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of police interactions every single day. Maybe even millions. And of that, maybe 100 of them go terribly wrong. And we see about 3 of them on television or on the internet every single day. Nothing is perfect. Should the police try harder? Absolutely. Everyone should try harder. Now, Portland police, on the other hand, had their hands full with things like protests, civil unrest, homeless, so they're more focused on keeping things calm and de-escalation tactics. That's, again, in theory. They've just recently put a lot of effort into helping out during mental health crisis. That's a big problem here, obviously. If you've seen anything in the news, you know anything about Portland, you know we have a lot of people suffering from mental health problems, roaming the streets, attacking donut vendors and tourists looking for more Zoloft. Right now, both cities are struggling with keeping cops on the team. That's all there is to it. They've got a pretty good-sized turnover rate in both cities. Portland more than Milwaukee, though. And honestly, that's a big problem in every city in the United States right now. There's a big turnover in police. The total crime rate in Portland, Oregon, first quarter 2024 was 204% above the national average. Their violent crime rate was 103% above the national average. Milwaukee's doing better with total crime. They're only 116% above the national average, but they are killing it, no pun intended, with the violent crime rate, 308% above the national average. So Portland spends like 4 times the money and has half the police officers, with results that kind of work out to even when you consider total crime is higher in Portland and violent crime rate is higher in Milwaukee. Now let's take a look at the homelessness. Homelessness is a big problem for Portland, not Milwaukee. Milwaukee's not doing terrible with it. Now, by Milwaukee standards, they think they got a lot of homeless. They have no idea. I read this thing about the homeless situation in Milwaukee is getting out of control. Whoever wrote that article needs to quit eating mushrooms at lunchtime. They have no idea what's going on in Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, and Los Angeles, and San Francisco. No clue. The reason I say that, Milwaukee has 27 homeless people. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it? It is until you find out, depending on what study you look at, Portland has over 6,000. Now remember, these two cities are pretty close to being the same size. You'd expect that kind of difference between a small town and a mega city. Now, I get Milwaukee's a lot colder, so homeless people won't really gravitate towards that area because winters can be horrible if you have a house. Imagine living in a cardboard box or a secondhand tent. But yeah, thanks to its milder weather and strong social services, Portland's homeless population is more out in the open than just about any other city. You'll see encampments and hear a lot about this issue. Milwaukee has its share of homeless challenges, but nothing. They're minor league compared to Portland, Oregon, which is a good thing. The biggest problem, besides the weather being a little bit more mild here in Portland, Oregon, we have an extreme amount of social services. One of the videos on PDX Reel went into one of the homeless camps and they were talking to this young lady. She's in a motorhome, has, all kinds of trash all around it. She said they have too many services, too many people helping them, and it makes people complacent. Now, she's living this life, and she even admits they're giving people too much to make them just, why try? I know I'm going to get fed. She said they stopped by with water, Gatorade, camping equipment for them, showering stuff. They've given out cell phones. Unless you're dealing with some serious mental issues, you want to get out of that life. That's obviously a vast majority of the people living on the streets have mental issues. But the people that don't, or not that bad, they want to get off the streets. They want to get their life back together. But if you got someone helping you all the frickin' time, the urgency isn't there. Help the people that can't help themselves, but don't help everyone to the point where they don't even try anymore. Now, before you say anything, I'm terribly sympathetic to anyone living on the streets. There's a lot of really bad situations that happen in this world and put people on the streets. Some, yes, decide that's just what they want to do. Some get into drugs. Some are unstable and just end up on the streets. We are a big country and we are big cities, but we're really a community still, and we need to help out the people that need the help, not the people that just want the help. So it breaks down to this. Portland, Oregon spends 4 times the money, they have half the police, and 240% the homeless. Where's the money, Portland? Where's it going? It's not going to things that need to be fixed. It's going to pet projects, from what I can tell. I would have liked to get more details if someone from the mayor's office would have talked to me. I did my research, and really, it breaks down to, I think Portland is spending the money in the wrong places. I believe in spending money on things like green spaces and solar panels, and I believe all that stuff. But you got to put that shit on the shelf when you have 6,000 people living on the street. Have a great day, everyone. Be nice to each other.